Federalism. Look at the political maps, on next 2 pages, of India 1947 and 2020. They have changed dramatically over the years. Boundaries of states have changed, names of states have changed, and the number of states has changed. When India became independent, we had a number of provinces that the British government had organized only for administrative convenience. Then a number of princely states merged with the newly independent Indian Union. These were joined to the existing provinces. This is what you see in the first map. Since then, boundaries of states have been reorganized many times. During this entire period, not only did boundaries of state change, but in some cases, even their names changed according to the wishes of the people of those states. Thus, Mysore changed to Karnataka and Madras became Tamil Nadu. The maps show these large-scale changes that have taken place in the span of over 50 years. In a way, these maps also tell us the story of functioning of federalism in India. After studying this chapter, you will be able to understand the following. What is federalism? The federal provisions in the Indian Constitution. The issues involved in the relations between the center and the states, and the special provisions for certain states having a distinct composition and historical features. What is federalism? Federalism is a system of government in which the power is divided between a central authority and various constituent units of the country. Usually, a federation has 2 levels of government. One is the government for the entire country that is usually responsible for few subjects of common national interest. The others are governments at the level of provinces or states that look after the day-to-day administration of their state. Both these levels of governments enjoy their power independent of the other. In this sense, federations are contrasted with unitary governments. Under the unitary system, either there is only one level of government or the subunits are subordinate to the central government. The central government can pass on orders to the provincial government or the local government, but in a federal system, the central government cannot order the state governments to do something. The state government has powers of its own for which it is not answerable to the central government. Both these governments are separately answerable to the people. The key features of federalism. 1. There are 2 or more levels, or tiers, of government. 2. Different tiers of government govern the same citizens, but each tier has its own jurisdiction in specific matters of legislation, taxation and administration. 3. The jurisdiction of the respective levels or tiers of government are specified in the Constitution, so the existence and authority of each tier of government is constitutionally guaranteed. 4. The fundamental provision of the Constitution cannot be unilaterally changed by one level of government. Such changes require the consent of both the levels of government. 5. Courts have the power to interpret the Constitution and the powers of different levels of government. The highest court acts as an umpire if disputes arise between different levels of government in the exercise of their respective powers. 6. Sources of revenue for each level of government are clearly specified to ensure its financial autonomy. 7. The federal system has dual objectives. A. To safeguard and promote the unity of the country. B. Accommodate regional diversity. These 2 aspects are crucial for the institutions and practice of federalism. Government at different levels should agree to some rules of power sharing. They should also trust that each would abide by its part of the agreement. An ideal federal system has both aspects, mutual trust and agreement to live together. The exact balance of power between the central and the state government varies from one federation to another. This balance depends on the historical context on which the federation was formed. There are 2 types of routes through which federation was formed. The first route involves independent states coming together on their own to form a bigger unit, so that by pooling sovereignty and retaining identity they can increase their security. This type of coming together federations includes the USA, Switzerland and Australia. In the first category of federations, all the constituent states usually have equal power and are strong vis-à-vis the federal government. The second route is where a large country decides to divide its power between the constituent states and the national government. India, Spain and Belgium are examples of this kind of holding together federations. In this second category, the central government tends to be more powerful vis-à-vis the states. Very often different constituent units of the federation have unequal powers. Some units are granted special powers. What makes India a federal country? The constitution originally provided for a two-tier system of government, the union government or what we call the central government, representing the Union of India and the state governments. Later a third tier of federalism was added in the form of panchayats and municipalities. As in any federation, these different tiers enjoy separate jurisdiction. The Constitution clearly provided a threefold distribution of legislative powers between the union government and the state government. Thus it contains three lists. The Union List. The Union List includes subjects of national importance such as defense of the country, foreign affairs, banking, communications and currency. They are included in the list because we need a uniform policy on the matters throughout the country. The Union government can alone make laws relating to the subjects mentioned in the Union List. The State List. The State List contains subjects of state and local importance such as police, trade, commerce, agriculture and irrigation. The state government can alone make laws relating to the subjects mentioned in the state law. The Concurrent List. Concurrent list includes subjects of common interest of both the union government as well as the state government, such as education, forest, trade unions, marriage, adoption and succession. Both the union as well as the state government can make laws on these subjects. If their laws conflict with each other, the law made by the union government will prevail. There are subjects that do not fall in any of the three lists. Subjects like computer software that came up after the Constitution was made do not lie in any of the above category. According to our Constitution, the Union government has the power to legislate on these residuary subjects. All states in India do not have identical powers. Some states like Jammu and Kashmir enjoy a special status. Jammu and Kashmir has its own constitution. Many provisions of the Indian Constitution are not applicable to this state without the approval of the State Assembly. Indians who are not permanent residents of this state cannot buy land or house here. Similar provisions exist for some other states of India as well. There are some units of the Indian Union which enjoy very little power. These are areas which are too small to become an independent state but which could not be merged with any of the existing states. These areas like Chandigarh, or Lakshadweep or the capital city of Delhi are called Union Territories. These territories do not have the powers of the state. The central government has special powers in running these areas. This sharing of power between the union government and the state government is basic to the structure of the Constitution. It is not easy to make changes to this power-sharing arrangement. The Parliament cannot on its own change this arrangement. Any change has to be first passed by both the houses of the Parliament with at least two-thirds majority. Then it has to be ratified by the legislatures of at least half of the total states. The judiciary plays an important role in overseeing the implementation of constitutional provisions and procedures. In case of any dispute about the division of powers, the High Courts and the Supreme Courts make a decision. The Union and the state governments have the power to raise resources by levying taxes in order to carry on the government and the responsibilities assigned to each of them. How is federalism practiced? The real success of federalism in India can be attributed to the nature of democratic politics in our country. This ensured that the spirit of federalism, respect for diversity and desire for living together became a shared ideal in our country. Linguistic states. The creation of linguistic states was the first and major test for democratic politics in our country. Some states were created not on the basis of language but to recognize differences based on culture, ethnicity or geography. These include states like Nagaland, Uttarakhand, and Jharkhand. Language policy. Our constitution did not give the status of national language. Hindi was identified as the official language. Besides Hindi, there are 21 other languages recognized as scheduled language by the Constitution. States too have their own official language. Much of the government work takes place in the official language of the concerned state. Center-state relations. Restructuring the center-state relations is one more way in which federalism has been strengthened in practice. How the constitutional arrangements for sharing power work in reality depends to a large extent on how the ruling parties and leaders follow these arrangements. All these changed significantly after 1990. This period saw the rise of regional political parties in many states of the country. This was also the beginning of the era of coalition governments at the center, where no single party got a clear majority in the Lok Sabha. The major national parties had to enter into an alliance with many parties, including several regional parties, to form a government at the center. This led to a new culture of power sharing and respect for the autonomy of state governments. Decentralization in India. When power is taken away from central and state governments and given to local government, it is called decentralization. The basic idea behind decentralization is that there are a large number of problems and issues which are best settled at the local level. People have better knowledge of problems in their localities. They also have better ideas on where to spend money and how to manage their things more efficiently. Besides, at the local level it is possible to directly participate in decision-making. This also inculcates the habit of democratic participation. A major step towards decentralization was taken in 1992. The Constitution was amended to make the third tier of democracy more powerful. Now it is constitutionally mandatory to hold regular election to local government bodies. Seats are reserved in the elected bodies and the executive heads of these institutions for the SC'(S/STs and OBC. At least one-third of all positions are reserved for women. An independent institution called the State Election Commission has been created in each state to conduct panchayat and municipal elections. The state governments are required to share some powers and revenue with local government bodies. The nature of sharing varies from state to state. The rural local governments is popularly known by the name Panchayati Raj. Each village or a group of villages in some states has a Gram Panchayat. This is a council consisting of several ward members, often called Panch, and a president or Sarpanch. They are directly elected by all the adult population living in that ward or village. The Panchayat works under the overall supervision of the Gram Sabha. All the voters in the village are its members. It meets at least twice or thrice a year to approve the annual budget of the Gram Panchayat and to review the performance of the Gram Panchayat. The local government structure goes right up to the district level. A few Gram Panchayats are grouped together to form what is usually called a Panchayat Samiti or block or mandal. The members of these representative bodies are elected by all the Panchayat members in that area. All the Panchayat Samitis or mandals in a district together constitute a Zilla Parishad. Most members of the Zilla Parishad are elected. Members of the Lok Sabha and MLAs of that district and some other officials of the district-level bodies are also its members. Zilla Parishad chairperson is the political head of the Zilla Parishad. Similarly, local government bodies exist for urban areas as well. Municipalities are set up in big towns. Big cities are constituted into municipal corporations. Both municipalities and municipal corporations are controlled by elected bodies consisting of people's representatives. Municipal chairperson is the political head of the municipality. In a municipal corporation, such an officer is called the mayor. This new system of local government is the largest experiment in democracy conducted anywhere in the world. There are about 36 lakh elected representatives in the panchayats and the municipalities etc., all over the country. This number is bigger than the population of many countries in the world. Constitutional status for local government has helped to deepen democracy in our country. It has also increased women's representation and voice in democracy. At the same time, there are many difficulties. While elections are held regularly and enthusiastically, Gram Sabhas are not held regularly. Most state governments have not transferred significant powers to the local governments, nor they have adequate resources. We are thus a long way from realizing the ideal of self-government.